Hello, everyone. This is Maurice. Just wanted to pop in real quick to let everybody know that, first and foremost, thank you for listening to the podcast. Unfortunately, we experienced some audio issues at the middle section of this episode. You can feel free to skip forward past it if it's a little bit too unbearable. I didn't want to cut it out because I think the conversation that we have in that section warranted keeping in. It is still, the content of the conversation is still of high quality in of the standards that the Black and Snerdy podcast stands by. It's just, there's just a little, the microphones weren't on, that's all. But you can hear us talk, it's fine. But yeah, just wanted to pop in to give that warning. You have been warned.
You know what it is, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy.
You know who it is, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy.
Ode, Maurice, Ode, Maurice.
Maurice, Ode, Maurice, Ode.
Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy.
Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy.
Hey, oh.
Yes, Mo?
Are you ready?
Let's go!
Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy, Black and Snerdy.
It's the Black and Snerdy podcast with Ode and Maurice.
Hello, party people.
Welcome to another episode of the Black and Snerdy podcast, where two black and snerdy individuals get together and just talk they shit. I, of course, am Maurice, aka Kid Licorish.
And I'm Odie.
And together we are the aforementioned Snerds coming to you again on a late night. Yes, it is Black and Snerdy After Dark, where we're going to be tweaking each other's nipples and pontificating. Consider this like, did you ever watch Taxicab Confessions?
Yes, I did.
So when I was younger, and my parents had cable, right? I assumed that everything late night was like sexual oriented. Mm-hmm. So I watched these Taxicab Confessions thinking that they would turn into like some sort of orgy in the back of a cab or something like that, right?
Well, sometimes it did get a little sexual.
No, it got a little sexual, but it was mostly like sad stories
or like it would be
drunk people.
and
sex workers.
I liked them.
It was literally like it's. I will say this: it's more intriguing now that I am an adult. I don't know where you could stream it. It's still
on HBO. Probably.
You think it's on HBO Max?
Yeah, like I think
I'm gonna check.
I used to watch Real Sex,
Mm-hmm.
and Real Sex and Taxicab Confessions used to come around the same time.
Yeah, they did.
So I would expect that, like, sometimes, they would get a little spicy in Taxicab, but mostly it was just a lot of, like you said, like, sad, drunk, or horned up, drugged up stories, which I found entertaining sometimes. Like, oh shit, people are really out here, like, living life.
I guess it's not on HBO Max. I think HBO Max, when it went to streaming, and not when they were like HBO Now and HBO Go, because they definitely had that category, but
so stupid.
They purged their scintillating content,
because now we have all that stupid My 600-Pound Life and Sister Wives.
You know what? Hashtag bring back the dark. Like,
yes.
Let's bring back the adult content that was up. Because, like,
Tubi has softcore porn.
It does? Is that what what's that show that you...
Hoochie Dadgy?
Oh, okay. You know what I was about to call that?
What?
I was going to call that the Big Dyke Show.
AKA.
It's literally like the lesbian man show.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but
Yeah,
I can't help but watch it. Anyway.
Yeah.
No, they do. They have, like, little softcore where, like, you'll see boobs. You'll see them, like, going down to have sex, but then you never really see it. It was for, like, if I was 12, it would have been, like, I would have been like, oh, boobs, but then, like...
We got desensitized at a young age.
I think that,
Once I was introduced to some polygon titties by Tomb Raider, then everything else was out the window. It was like, oh, cones?
It was just like
cones. I'm down with cones.
once I saw like real like porn on like a real like a stolen channel. It definitely changed my perspective of like Skinamax and like even though it's like
because after a while you realize that all they're doing is like grinding on the belly button of a dude instead of
you're
like
not seeing anything.
Yeah, this is like you're simulating sex.
Yeah, that's
like it's not actual.
And maybe
factual.
for folks who like, and it's just like
sometimes if that's what you're into.
And sometimes it's like if you're watching a movie, like say for instance you go to see 50 Shades, even though you know those sex scenes that they're there are not real, like the storytelling and all that, it's like, oh, this is still sexy, right? It can still put you in a mood. Mm-hmm. When people watch sexy sex scenes in a movie, it's like, ooh, I like this. But that's like in the freaking softcore Cinemax, there was terrible acting.
Did you ever see Nymphomaniac or Antichrist?
Yes, I saw the Nymphomaniac one. I don't know about Antichrist.
Okay.
There was also this thriller one
William Dafoe actually had to get a penis double in Antichrist.
Oh,
because his dick is too big.
Really?
Like it apparently his dick is so big it wouldn't have been believable that was William
his dick.
Dafoe. So they had to get a double.
More dicks in films.
More dicks and not the fucking soft ones.
Yeah, real
because
ones.
Not
real ones.
On prestige television, we see all sorts of titties and bush flopping around everywhere. But anytime I'm not the first person to make this observation.
No, it's true.
This is a South Park fucking bit, but like it is like flaccid penis. Mm-hmm. That's the only way that it could. I want to see a hard penis.
Me too.
Just like, or at least a semi-hard, like a
soft chub
with the chubs.
Soft one.
Yes.
Like, don't stop. Like,
shout out to DJ Chubbs from
Howard. Can't wait for the new Twerk Take mixtape to come back out.
Oh man.
But let's get into the questions.
He fucked my ex thing.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Don't say things like that on live.
They don't know who I'm talking about.
The people who know who you're talking about might know who you're talking
it would
about.
have to be like a lot of digging to figure out what was happening. Anyhow, so questions Q&A with O&M. Hit me with that sloppy question. What's up?
What are you most curious about in your family history?
Probably mental illness. I think me and my dad are probably the most vocal and the most transparent. I'll extend that to a cousin or two, but I don't like. I would like to know what. Like, I'm not saying there's something like going on mentally with them, but I'm throwing out somebody as an example.
Okay.
I would like to know like Uncle Bobby's history, because like you've met Uncle Bobby, or you've zoomed with him. He has lived a fascinating life. He's the quintessential New York nigga, and he sounds like it. Like New Yorkness falls out of his mouth, and I would like to know, like, what are, like, because he's lived a life. He's not gonna tell history, but, like, he's lived a life. He has kids. They're adults. They have stories. Like, I'd be curious to know, like, what, like, where, but he is of a different generation. He's of the older generation with, like,
it sounds like you want
silence.
No, you just not even, it sounds like you just want to know more about the people in your family.
Yeah, because, like,
more about their lives.
Like, I know that, like, no, I don't. Well, yes, I want to know more about their lives, but specifically under the umbrella of mental health. Because, like, my dad and I cannot be the only people who, like, have mental illness.
Yeah.
Like, this shit comes from somewhere.
It's genetic.
If it's genetic, then, like...
It's genetic and
it's
can
not
be
like I gotta ask
environmental.
my grandfather. You know what I mean? Like, but like I would like, and again, it was a different generation, so nobody spoke to it and anything like that. But like for the living ones, I would like to know if there is some level of acknowledgement that, like, hey, like, I deal with anxiety, I deal with PTSD, or I deal with, like, something, you know, like, that's what I would, and I guess on some, well, I would say on my mom's side, but they have different coping mechanisms, and I'll just leave it at that. So I know that there's some mental health
Stuff
going
on
on that side, but like there's other things going on as well. But I'm more curious about me. That's like, what about you? What are you most curious about? Are you even curious about anything in your family history? It seems like you're pretty plugged in.
I mean,
like you're giving spaghetti to the ancestors. You know, so
yeah, but the ancestors, that's the past. I can't. I honor the ancestors.
I just figured you knew enough to know that they like oregano on their pasta.
Listen, I know that my ancestors
like you've done
like
enough
food,
digging to be like, okay, like
so I know
Graham gets red pepper flakes.
I mean, some of those, yeah. I know that my Nana
gets
was like a steak because she when she was when she got older, she lost her teeth, so she couldn't get dentures, so she couldn't have steak anymore. She loved steak. Like if she got it, it's like, you know, it would be like
if I ever saw you put a steak on that shrine, that shit would disappear immediately, and then you would think that ghosts exist. But it's literally just like,
first of all, you cannot eat the ancestors' food.
You don't know that?
You cannot. If you eat that, listen. If you eat the ancestors' food
on the day that you put it out, is the best opening that you can do. The
ancestors' food.
Don't do it 2-3 days because that shit will sit there. It's been what, a month? That shit's been over there for a month.
No, it has not. First of all, it changes out. You can't keep.
Oh, it's changing out.
I change out the food. Yes.
You have a reminder.
Well, I look at the food and I know I need to change it. Anyway, I think in my family history, I would like to know more about my grandma's history from on my Nigerian side, because, like, you know, with most patriarchal societies, like when my grandma got married, her life became really her husband's in a sense. So it's like when my grandparents, like there was an aunt who recently died. It was one of my grandpa's last sisters or last siblings alive. And I'm like, every time I ask questions about my grandma's side, I get such blanks. But like they know so much about my grandpa and his side. Like not so much, but like they know more, you know? And so I'm just like, I would like to know that more information about her because she is an important part of, like, I know her life post getting married for the most part. But I want to know, like,
that's real.
The rest of it.
That's real. That makes sense. What's the next question?
You have
this is the mental health question.
No, it's not.
Is it not? Oh, okay. Sorry. Who is your ideal neighbor? Okay, so it's not what is your ideal neighbor, it's who is your ideal neighbor.
Yeah.
I would say, you know what? I have two answers for this. Normally, I'm very strict when it comes to, like, having an answer because some people like to say, well, I have, like, 9 answers, and in no particular order. Here's all of the answers, instead of just being direct. But I do have 2. 1, Mr. Rogers. And 2, did you ever see, I forget the reference, but it's Fred Armisen. Oh, Fred Armisen in 30 Rock. Mm-hmm. Did you ever see that episode of 30 Rock where Fred Armisen was the neighbor?
Yeah, I saw him. I don't remember exactly.
All right, okay. So let me explain one before the other. Mr. Rogers, he's just a quintessential neighborly person, you know? Like he is the last person that I believes in community. You know what I mean? Like my best friend Sam,
he tries to ingratiate himself with his community, and to his credit, at every turn, the universe is saying maybe you shouldn't. But I understand how, like, one, that's a thing that he wants to do. Two, there's like a level of feeling bad that he's gentrifying the Caribbean area. But it's hard to do when you're, like, when it's stacked, like it's just stacked against you. It's like you want to be friendly with the people outside, you want to be friendly with the people in the building and stuff, but there's a culture divide, there's a shock, and apparently Caribbeans love Trump, but we'll get into that later. But Mr. Rogers was like, he was open, he was friendly, he, with arms wide open, like, he was just very welcoming, and I would want that as a neighbor. Conversely, I say Fred Armisen in the 30 Rock episode was because he minded his fucking business. Like, Nosy Tina Fey did all the snooping and shit. Basically the bit of the whole episode is that, like, she thought that he was suspicious, and the more that before that, she was like, oh, he's the perfect neighbor. Like, he keeps to himself and he doesn't bother anybody. But then she starts paying attention to him. This was at the height of, like, fucking early 2000s humor and shit. So, like, she sees a brownish man, like, doing suspicious things, and she calls the fucking NSA on him or something.
I think I remember.
And it turns out that he was just doing all of these things for a submission to Amazing Race. Anyhow, but, like, no, someone in a neighbor who, like, Fred Armisen, he minded his own business, he kept to himself. So it's either Mr. Rogers, the friendly, open, warm neighbor, or the nigga who keeps them to themselves and doesn't bother me or anything like that. The one neighbor over here, like, who, not the Caribbean lady, but, there's
the family?
No, not the family, but there's, like, one woman who's, like, over here, and she's clearly by herself. I respect the fuck out of her, because I only ever see her very randomly, but, like, we do the head nod, and we mind our own business, and that's it. There we go. What about you? Who is your ideal neighbor?
I would say someone like, what's her name? Well, someone like a Loretta Devine.
Well, more like Loretta is fine.
Because I feel like she would, if she has a cookout,
The dopest auntie.
she would, like, invite me over. She'd be like, oh my God, young black queen. I want to, like, talk to you. I want to, like, she would see, like, all right, you doing your thing, whatever. I want to see you come over. Do you want to play? I'm making something. Do you want this? I got this gift bag.
Cooking for you.
Aunties and grandmas like to show their love through food, which is very nurturing, and I like that.
Okay.
They would come over. She would let me go through her closet, see if there were any pieces I liked, and be like, you know what, boo, you take it, because I'm not going to wear that anymore. I'm not going to wear those. I don't do heels anymore.
I don't do heels anymore.
You know?
My plantar fasciitis is preventing it. It swells up my feet, so now I can't. You'll probably get along with my Aunt Linda. She has nothing but shoes. She doesn't wear anything but shoes.
I know, I saw them. She had all the closet.
Oh, yeah, we did.
But that would definitely be my first one. But I think, like, for me, generally, like, I, like Sam, like to be a part of the community. And not saying that we're always, like, talking to each other. But, like, if I was throwing, like, at my old apartment, if I had, like, a holiday party.
Hey, Matt! You're up with us. That's awesome. No, it's late, but thank you for being here.
If I had a party and I would invite my next door neighbors on both sides of me, and it was like, this was cool. Like, we would see each other, we would hang out sometimes, get a drink, or just, like, if I was locked out, which, you know, something that happens, I would
it does.
go over to their apartment, or if they needed something, it was just like, a
Cup of sugar.
community. Yeah, it was something. Like, it was a community. Like, and even I'm still friends with Doug. I'm still friends with we haven't like talked, but the guy that moved next door to me, like, he moved uptown, but we still like are Facebook friends, and it was just like I liked it, you know. So I feel like I would like to just have a community around me. Like, my neighbors when I was younger, it was like such a fun way of like hanging out. But all right, are you getting ready to jump into the pop culture segment?
I sure am. So many episodes.
You know what?
That's not what it is. Why did you let me do that? Why did you let me do that?
So many episodes.
I don't memorize this board.
You know these haven't changed.
I don't memorize.
Like, if anything, the purple one changes every now and then. But the pop culture section has always been the blue button.
I'm not going to remember that. All right. So, first things first.
Shout out to almost being at 100 episodes. 60 of them have been with this board. Repetition means nothing, apparently. So, where are we starting?
It's not. That's not my board. That's your board. You do stuff to it, and I'm not going to remember all those things. Anyway, Mr. Sassy Pants. So Republican Kevin McCarthy was ousted last week as the Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives, the first speaker in history to be voted out of the position, and he only lasted 269 days.
Hold on. Na. Hey, goodbye. Nah. Okay. I thought I'm used to it being a wrestling chant, and so like it just repeats. Anyhow.
Oh
continue.
no, it's a whole song. I love that song. It is. I don't know. I don't really care about. Don't think that he's done anything that's worthwhile, but really none of the Republicans have. So whoever, the
Republicans are an Ouroboros eating its own tail.
Yeah.
And it's literally like they're destroying their own thing. Not to mention like it's. So
and I think it was
for this one to go is not that big of a deal to me.
I think it was Matt Gaetz who was like leading the charge, but I feel like it was Matt Gaetz or maybe George Santos. I think it was Matt Gaetz. But both of them are problematic, have terrible records, and like they were mad that he cooperated with the Democrats to stop there from being a shutdown. That should not be a bad thing.
Yeah, we're starting spicy.
Starting spicy, we like it.
Is it spicy? I feel like anything when it comes to like politics is very milquetoast.
Yeah.
Because like, what spiciness is
well,
there
what would be
to
spicy would to say I stand with Palestine. That would be spicy.
Okay.
Like that's a spicy.
Is that what you want to say?
Oh no, I do stand with them. That doesn't mean that no one should be dying. That's terrible, but like Palestinians fighting back against apartheid and genocide is like
I'm very sympathetic when it comes to war in general.
Yeah.
You know, like
Like,
and
I don't
especially
want-
like the bombing of like innocents and shit. So like that's
just
just
like,
where I am, but that's
someone said today, which I thought was really good, that like you cannot put the Jewish Israelites who are dying at the same level as the Israeli government, and you can't put the Palestinians that are dying as Hamas, and civilians are never the ones who should be paying for the crimes of their government, which is true. It's just unfortunate that from what I've seen, the news is making it a very one-sided story and like calling the Palestinians animals and being very derogatory and ignorant and oblivious of the fact of that Palestine has been occupied for decades at this point, and their land has been shrinking more and more over the decades, and there have been so many atrocities committed against them in the name of like keeping the state, when it's neither side, not even neither side could be blameless, but that neither side should be experiencing death and destruction just for the sake of land. But anyway,
I do not have enough No, here's the thing. Very specific debate, as old as time, tale as old as rhyme. And honestly, I can be honest enough to say that I am not knowledgeable enough on all of the happenings to have formed an opinion, and therefore I will not speak on it, period.
the only opinion that we could have
Is that I know that there are victims of a war, like, and my heart goes out to them and the safety of the innocents that are caught in the crossfire. So there we go. That's where I land.
That's it. I mean, that's really
where
all
I
it
land.
is.
That's where I land.
All right. So, are you ready to talk about non-spicy things?
I didn't. That's too much. That was too much spice. That's allspice.
It was too much.
That's
sauce?
not even allspice. Allspice is like a well-rounded flavor. That was fucking ghost pepper,
Scotch
dipped
bonnet,
in fucking Romulus's blood or some shit.
All right. Well, sorry.
You're
not sorry.
Though.
Not sorry.
Yeah, you're not.
I've been
fucking
trying.
Demi Lovato over here. Moving on.
Anyway, Outkast. They're out.
Matt is. I'm not sure if you're referring to me or Odie, but like, that's. If you're referring to me, you're right there. I'm right there with you, my man. I'm right there with you. Shout out to Outkast.
Yes. Speakerboxxx and The Love Below has become the best-selling rap album of all time.
I would argue that might actually be the qualifiers. Best double album.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think they got to showcase their own
individuality.
They
have several songs on there where they're together.
Yeah.
Well, a couple. Like, not a lot.
I think that on both sides, they were both great albums. My personal favorite was The Love Below.
I'm a Speakerboxxx guy.
But I thought both of them were good and were great. And but I think that it's also just kind of a manner of what am I going to listen to the most? Mm-hmm. And I would listen to like Andre 3000's type of flow because it's like a lot more melodic, and it usually has maybe some like, beat. Like the Prototype is one of my favorite songs that I think that I'm like, what I would never want to like I couldn't get rid of it. But the Speakerboxxx on that side also had a lot of like bangers. But the Speakerboxxx for me was just like on repeat. Like the way that Renaissance
Tomb
is on
of the
repeat.
Boom. Ugh, so fucking dope. Flip Flop Rock with Jay-Z. Love it. And of course, The Way You Move.
I mean,
Sleepy
yes.
Brown.
Like both of them, like neither of them, you can't take them out. And this is just, another part of hip hop history.
Yes.
For the 50 years of hip hop.
50 years of hip hop.
So,
shout out to hip hop.
And speaking of hip hop, Swiss Beats and Timbaland are going to receive the Rock the Bells Culture Award at the 2023 BET Hip Hop Awards.
Guess who it's presented by, or who's going to be presenting the fucking Rock the Bells
LL Cool J
award. Ugh.
Your favorite?
Look, one day, I would like to believe that when I'm like big and famous, that I will meet LL Cool J in person And I'm sure he will be a swell guy. But from a distance, I have nothing but just passing general, like, not disdain. Disdain is hard, but, like, annoyance with him. I'll say I'm annoyed with LL Cool J.
Yeah. I mean, this is the
He's
same
an
kind
annoying
of
figure.
annoyance that you had with
Fucking lick your lips all the time. You
One
got that
pant leg up.
fucking Queens bullshit. Like, Nas and Mobb Deep are the only Queens niggas that I respect. They're cool, but they're
that's
not
because,
trying to be cool.
you know, that-
LL Cool J literally is like trying to be cool.
He definitely was like a St. Albans, like a St. Albans,
UPN.
Rosedale kind of dude who like thinks he's so cute and fly. But like, if you would have put
Roll
him,
up your fucking leg for what? Just to show off your calf?
yeah, like if you. But the thing is, I think he always was like a soft and smooth rapper.
Yeah.
So it was like that
LL
was
Cool J
his.
is Drake before Drake was Drake.
Yes. Yeah, there we go.
Love.
Yeah. And people, I mean, they used to get on him about that, but listen, he's 50 years, all this time later, look what he's got. Sometimes love is all you need.
I always thought it was funny that, like, for a long time, people thought that Mama Said Knock You Out was, like, the hardest thing. But but when I break it down, I'm like, your mother told you, like, you didn't have the instinct. You literally was like, hey, Mom, what should I do? I'm in this fight with this motherfucker. What should I do, Mama?
Well.
Anyhow.
At the other part of the BT Awards, Kiernan, aka Forbes, is gonna get a posthumous Global Visionary Award. He was a 35-year-old South African rapper who was shot and killed.
Posthumous.
What did I say?
Posthumous.
Oh, that is a word that I mispronounce.
Mm-hmm. It's
All
like
the time.
biopic.
Yeah,
You probably say biopic, right?
I always say biopic. Is it not
Yeah,
biopic?
it's biopic. It's a biographical picture.
You know what? I used to say biopic, but then I feel like I heard someone say biopic, and whoever was saying it was like
As somebody
a learned person.
As somebody who's a communication major and abuses he's gone. And abuses the English language all the time. It's
I believe you.
Like look, we're in a culture where essentially everything is allowed, but it should be biopic.
Mm-hmm. Biopic
But
makes
I
more
understand
sense.
why people say biopic.
Yeah, I think, you know what? I would say, I think it's like a British people, the way their accent sounds.
Yeah.
I feel like it comes out sounding like biopic.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, his parents are going to accept the award on his behalf, and they're going to have a bunch of performances from a few people like DaBaby, Sexy Red,
Fabio Foreign, Offset, Glorilla.
and they're also doing a 30th anniversary celebration. So Jermaine of So Def, so Jermaine Dupri, Bow Wow, DeBrat, and the Franchise Boys. I'm wondering now if Jermaine Dupri and Bow Wow's beef is settled.
So Def has such a deep roster. Like,
Mariah Carey's not coming.
you know what the funny thing is? Like, if you said top 5 So Def artists, them Franchise Boys was not.
But you know
there.
what? I would not like. But I think that them Franchise Boys, because that was such a popular, like, no one's gonna forget that song. And when they come up, it definitely was, I feel like, a big moment for Southern rappers in that time. You know, like, I think it just, like, it worked. But Mariah's not coming. I mean, if she does, that would be fun. But she's getting ready for her, you know, All I Want for Christmas 10,000 times is just to sing it. So we just are going to have to wait. Fat Joe is going to host it, which makes, that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Because today's price is not yesterday's price.
Yes, and COVID will be in the building. New COVID will be in the building. Long COVID will be in the building.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to get this out of the way, or do you?
Sure. Let's get out the way.
So I sent you a clip to play.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of hip hop and people that the hip hop BET Awards is gonna have a lot of people performing who have a little bit of scandal to their name, DaBaby. Like what? Like that's what part of like when people talk about cancel culture. I'm like, there's no cancel culture because if DaBaby is gonna be performing at the BET Awards, like, not to say that, like I said, that new song he has.
If we're not canceling motherfuckers who are actually doing actions, like physical actions, we're definitely not canceling people for having opinions and like
being assholes.
Yeah, being assholes.
So I mean, if Tory Lanez was out of jail, they would have probably. But this is one of those things with BET where I'm like, do better. Do better. There's so many other people. You're just like, you're feeding the fire of the fucking red pill incel community. But another person is Sexy Red. Now, Sexy Red has been having a week, or at least a few weeks. She had a sex tape leaked on, allegedly it was on Instagram stories. Now, I personally did not look at it because
I thought that was a music video.
No. It was actually like a leaked thing. That's what it came out. And then, like, if there's been, but check to see if there's been an update. But when I was reading about it, because first the guy, it was like alleged that she leaked it, and then if it was like, no, she didn't leak it.
Because it was leaked on
else.
Instagram, right?
Yeah. Wait, but you just missed it. It was the double XL.
No, I'm not looking for the double XL. If it's a video.
No, I don't want to look at the video.
I do.
No, that's not. If she did not post that, that is not. That is
Fine. Okay. Sure.
No.
Sure. Okay.
You do not look at people's sex tapes if they did not put them out.
But it was on her Instagram.
No, but if it was leaked, then it was leaked. If it was leaked and not by her, she didn't consent, then that's wrong.
Fine. Okay.
But go back to that article so that you can confirm whether or not it was a video.
Fans claiming published it intentionally.
That was the initial, but then afterwards it came out that it was whoever she had been with had posted
an Instagram story. Okay. Oh, it was a sex tape on her Instagram. Tape was deleted after a few minutes. Okay. All right. Yeah.
So I mean that happened. She also
I just want to know if her booty hole was brown.
No, we if she wants to post a picture up of her booty hole, then we can look at it. Okay? But you do not look at people's sex tapes or nude photos that have been leaked, because that is I don't know, like what, the revenge porn or whatever. But be better, people. Anyway, she also got in trouble because I sent you the clip. Yeah.
I'm also a little bit incredulous about it being.
And listen, if it wasn't leaked, who knows? But if she said it wasn't, that she didn't put it out on purpose. I mean, honestly, from the when I saw it on my timeline, it looked very like her face was bored. People were just talking about she looks bored. This is like, it's not a good sex tape. Like, this guy wasn't really doing anything. She was just faking. That was what I was seeing on my timeline. And then after that, I found that's when it came out about her allegedly not posting it and it being the guy leaking it. So then that, changed it. But I don't want to watch a bored-looking sex tape. I know what bored sex feels like. Why would I want to watch it?
I also know what bored sex looks like and feels like. But, like, I also don't want to see that.
Like, that's not... I don't want to watch people having sex unless it's enthusiastic. Okay? This is, like, enthusiastic sex.
Or like, you're a great actor. You're, like, an Emmy-worthy actor who's literally just, like... I'm thinking about milk and whether or not I left the stove on, but
I couldn't tell.
But I'm Holly Berry right now in what did she win? Monsters Ball.
Yes.
I have Monsters Balls in me, and I'm giving it my all for those monster balls. Okay, here's the clip. Here's the Sexy Red clip.
People are gonna support Trump now and
let her know.
Yeah, they support him in the hood. Cause at first I don't think people was fucking with him, like they thought he was racist, saying little shit and against women. But once he started getting black people out of jail and giving people their free money, Oh, baby, we love Trump. We need him back in office.
And oh yeah, fuck it up.
Okay, so real quick, I do want to caveat this by saying that Sexy Red is 25.
Yeah,
She's a 25-year-old individual.
This is the thing. People are very upset with her with these comments.
She does not speak for the hood.
It's not saying that.
Where is she from?
I think she's from
Miami?
Midwest. No, like the Midwest. My thing is, I know, unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are allegedly, from the hood.
Yes.
Who have similar sentiments.
She is from St. Louis. Oh,
the same
really?
way, like you have poor white people and poor black people who are thinking like, first of all, the checks came with his name on it. So if you get a check and it says the person's name, okay, Trump gave me this. Do people who are in dire straits have the time to do all of the political assessment and understanding of why this actually didn't mean anything and how Trump was actively
there was a
pushing
pandemic.
back?
There was a pandemic. It was a stimulus check. It's not free money.
But
George W. Bush also did that when we were in college. Wait, no, was that George W. Bush? Who was that? We got a refund.
No,
check?
that was George. That was his second term. George. I think Obama made George promise it, and then when Obama came into office,
Because I remember getting one during college.
Yeah, because it was because Obama made George Bush promise it was going to happen or something like that, and then Obama made it happen. Mm-hmm. But the thing is, I think that folks who are disenfranchised are like, great, I'm getting this money. I haven't been working. But do they have the time? Some of them do. But most have the time. Even middle class people don't even have the time to actually fact check all the things going on in a world that is constantly stressing you the fuck out. So it is, do I think that there are people who, just because they've received something, that can wash away the sins of the person? Yes, because they're not looking long term. And she's also 25, and she's not somebody that I'm looking for political analysis.
Yeah.
Does that mean that, the same way, what's his name? Y Sinet? Is it Y or Kai? What is it? Which one is it?
Wyatt
Cenac. The one that's the streamer. The same way
that's Kai Sinet.
That's who I was asking about.
I thought you were talking about the comedian, because he's a very, he's in the politics and,
yes, him.
racial
He's good
discourse.
for that stuff. I'm talking about Kai Snap, the young one who caused the little riot. They need to be accountable
Kai Sinet, yeah.
for this fact that they have a lot of young people
They have a platform.
who are watching them. So they need to be mindful what they say, but I feel like it's is this a situation where we cancel or do we call in? I think we could call her in by having her sit down with somebody and talking about why is it that you think this and here's why you're wrong. Because this is the part where a lot of people, young people, are going to say things that are stupid. Do I think she should be canceled for this? No, but I do think she should be called in and given a history lesson. And at the end of the day, everything about that Trump said and did towards women was real.
I also just want to point out that she's on Theo Von's show, and he's like a fucking instigator. So I don't take
look at where the real world could take you.
But so far, you know what I mean? I don't put too much.
Yeah,
stock
I mean,
into
first of all, why are you even asking her about Trump? She's not anybody people who in hip hop that I would say you could ask about politics. Kendrick Lamar, maybe even J. Cole, Cardi B. She apparently was in AP history.
Funny enough,
and she loves.
Funny enough, I would not ask J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar because I find that. So, okay, this is a whole conversation that we can have after the break in a different section or something like that. But I find that the quote-unquote conscious rappers are the ones who aren't saying nothing.
Well, they're the most photeppy for sure.
No. I don't mean that they're photeppy. I mean that when it comes to real world political discourse,
that they're very surface.
That I think that that they're more like they're more macro than micro. Like, I think that they're big picture, like, these are the things that happen to me, and these are the things that I see. But, like, when you press them on, like, what their actual beliefs are, I don't think they're willing to divulge. Like
a very Aaron
in
Burr
many ways.
situation.
Yes, that's actually a perfect analogy. In many ways, I think conscious rappers nowadays, because, like, before,
like KRS-One,
in, like, the 90s, people would just, like, they would hear you and they would think, like, that's who you are.
Yeah.
But now in the age of social media, it's like, this is what you're rapping and this is what you're saying, but we also want to know what your personality is when it comes to these specific topics. So, like, now, like, you have, like I said, the Kendricks and the J. Coles. And I'll even throw Mos Def in there, because he was, like, the prototype of conscious rappers.
Yeah.
Like, it's all of this, like, you're an artsman, you're a craftsman of the lyrics and the words and all of these big thoughts, but, like, we have no idea where you as a person stand on any of these things.
You know who I would actually ask as a rapper? Plies. I don't know if you follow Plies. I don't know. Listen, I don't know if you follow Plies on social media.
You would ask if Plies is a rapper?
No.
That's why he left.
I would ask, we're talking about rappers, we would ask about politics. That's what I'm talking about.
I'm going off of what you said, though. You asked, like, you know how I ask if Plies is a rapper?
Anyway,
I
would ask Plies about politics, because he's someone who I've found over the course of the pandemic, specifically, that he has very progressive and intelligent, like, deep dives into just politics and, like, society, etc. And I'm just been so surprised that he's someone that actually puts up great takes on the topics he's interested in. Now, and some of them, like, could be sports. Some of them could be politics. Some of them just could be, like, daily life. He's one of Britney's mega supporters. He's always commenting about how much he likes her. But, like, he's someone who I would actually ask, because I feel like it would make sense that he would be politically minded, because I believe he went to an HBCU. I think he was studying, I think it might have been nursing, but I believe he went to an HBCU. Which I remember I found out when we were at Howard one time when we were driving around D.C. listening to Bust It Baby. And somebody mentioned that he went
to University of Central Florida and Miami University.
Okay. I'm not sure if either of those are HBCUs, but, you know, he's someone who probably knows what it means to research something. If you've had to take a writing class or history class or something in college, you have to do some research. So he's someone I would listen to, because I feel, or at least listen to what they have to say. But Sexy Red is not one of them.
Yeah, Sexy Red's not one
So,
of them.
and I think this is just a time compared to, like, DaBaby, who just did some bullshit and refused to apologize or acknowledge what he did. This, for Sexy Red, I think this is a time where she could say, you know what, maybe if you're telling me I was wrong, tell me why I was wrong and help me figure it out. And I think that's the type of grace we can give to people, and we can give them that. And then if they don't want to do it and they don't want to take the time to learn, that's a different story, but at least give them the option to do better. And she's so young that I think that we could give her that opportunity.
The only reason why I'm extending grace is because she's 25.
She's young.
26? No. Fuck no. Get out of here. No grace, 26 and over. That's the title of this episode.
All right. Well, Drake gave her a shout out on Twitter. And I mean, like, his usual problematic ways. Drake keeps doing more and more things.
So have you had a chance to listen to
the new album
For All the Dogs?
No, but I know that
I like the J. Cole, and I like the J. Cole song and the 21 Savage song and the Lil Yachty song.
What kept me from being excited to listen to it is because the moment it came out, it's like he was dissing Rihanna, Esperanza Spalding, and some of the other some other women. I have what if you can wait until I finish. I read the verse.
You listen to it?
Did you hear what I said?
I know. I heard you say that you read it.
I read the verse to see what it said, and I was debating on whether or not I want to spend my time listening to it, because regardless of whether or not it makes sense in the song, or if it's a good beat, or whatever the case may be, or if it's like, oh, it's just Drake being Drake, he's been doing a lot of bullshit that is weird. That's weird and frustrating and problematic. Like, it cannot, it can't be, I can't negate that he, like, just the other day we were talking about how Halle Berry was upset because he asked her to use a photo. She said
the slime you out.
She said no, and he did it anyway. Like, a fuck you. Like, at that point, if you don't even have to you don't have to contact me for these things. I don't own the image. Getty owns the image. So you went to Getty, you could have got the picture, used it, and then if I had a problem, I would have a problem. But if you go to me, ask me, is this okay, and I say no, and you do it anyway, you're just saying fuck you. And even what would happen the other day where, him talking about, shout out to Megan, but not that Megan, my photographer, when we've known that he has taken shots at Megan during this whole Tory Lanez situation. And, he never does anything to make it seem like he's not being a hating-ass bitch. And I can't...
All of this is tied to the beef that he had with Pusha T. Pusha T pushed him into a realm. I really want to illustrate this. Pusha T got into his soul. Pusha T was one of his favorite rappers. And so when he got into a beef with Pusha T sent the infrared thing, infrared song, and then he came back with, I forget the name of the song that he came back with. And then that's when Pusha T did Duppy. Mm-hmm. Ever since then, Drake has been on a, anytime he, first off, even in that response that he did to Infrared, it was mainly directed at Kanye, not necessarily Pusha T. But when he did come back to, when Duppy came out, ever since then, he has just been, he's been so traumatized by that
he's attacking black women,
that he's like, I can't even, all I can do is
attack black women.
Attack niggas who are not on my level, which is why he will never go after Kendrick or J. Cole, which is the big three. And manga, the big three is known as a thing. One Piece, Naruto, Bleach. Nowadays, My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man. Now, the big three are Drake, J. Cole, Kendrick. He will not attack J. Cole or Kendrick. He will not name anyone who is dissing him. But mostly, he will target his aggression at the women who have spurned him.
But so
who
but the thing about it is, Esperanza Spalding has done nothing to Drake. Does she even know who
she had the nerve to win that?
But the thing is,
artist Grammy Award. How dare she? How dare she?
But the thing about it is,
be nominated the same category as him when he was a new artist.
Afraid of all these other rappers who are are at his level or that he thinks are at his level, does not give him the license to attack
Rihanna find
black
love
women
in Harlem.
It's
two babies.
So it doesn't endear me to want to listen to the album, because why are you attacking black women? We have not done anything to you but support you. That's the only thing, and all he has continuously done is do bullshit. So I don't want to listen to the album, regardless of how great it is, because why would I want to listen to someone that is hell bent on attacking me? And also, his albums. What was his album? What was that? Nonstop. What was that on? Scorpion?
Yeah.
That was the last album where I was like bumping it hard. Everything after that, like, oh, never mind. Like, you should have just never minded and not put it out at all, because it was like nothing. It was like yeah, the song you had with Yebba was great, but that's because fucking Yebba. Like, you weren't. I have not been like Drake from college years Drake to now. Like, he is fucking fallen off. And he'll keep putting out these 20, 30, 40 playlist albums so that you could hopefully find 5 on there that you really like.
Well, like I said,
then attacking black women because you feel insecure. Like, that is not my fucking problem. And step your fucking game up so people will want to listen to you, and they won't be calling out for forcing you to have a relationship with your son,
yes,
who you only call out
again,
when there's a PR stunt.
That happened from the beef that he had with Pusha T.
I mean, yeah, that's not. No one is negating that, but what I'm saying is,
this man bullied him into loving his.
I don't feel the same way. I don't feel excited about listening to DaBaby or Tory Lanez. I don't feel excited about listening to Drake at this moment. Or if like someone like Future at this moment. Because if at the end of the day, when you're in trouble and you're feeling insecure, if the first person you go to attack is black women, the people who are standing by your side, regardless, like, why should I give you my time when there's so many more talented people out there for me to listen to?
Well, who also felt that he should grow up and mature. I personally feel as though as somebody who's listened to this album, I see Drake as an algorithm rapper. Like, the reason why he stayed on top as long as he has, to me, is because Drake is an algorithm rapper. Like, he follows trends. Like, he doesn't, like, with all of the vitriol that you have posed towards Drake,
this is not vitriol.
It's only like a small handful selection of lines. Like, it's his personality only really seeps through maybe 20-30% of any of his actual songs when it comes to like charting the progression of growth when it comes to an artist. Otherwise, he is rapping towards trends. He is an algorithm rapper. Mm-hmm. And this latest album, to me, fits an algorithm in order to get him to the top. I personally say that he's an algorithm rapper. Someone who just straight up says that, like, he's just rapping towards young people and not maturing with his music, Joe Budden, turns out. On this, we only slightly align. The fucking semicircles are only a slither in the middle, but, you know. And because of that, Drake had some shit to say.
Well, he told Joe Budden, you failed at music. You left it behind to do what you were doing in this clip because this is what actually pays your bills. For any artists watching this, just remember, you're watching a failure give their opinion on his idea of a recipe for success. A quitter give their opinion on how to achieve longevity. You switched careers because the things that pop into your brain had you broke, living check to check, and the raps you write had 450 men showing up to your shows in Dusty and Nietzsche, or NYC, I forget how you pronounce it, jeans, to screw up their face to Mood Music 29 and pretend you are the GOAT. Please, to any artist that's doing what they feel is right, don't let these opinions affect your mindset after the fact. This guy is the poster child of frustration and surrendering. You retired and we've never hung up your jersey. We don't even remember your number. We know you for doing this. You withdrew from rap not because you accomplished all you need to. it's because it wasn't working for you. I never want anybody in this generation to think that the whole everybody's entitled to their opinion is a real thing. This is a man projecting his own self-hate, and the fact I did and continue to do everything he had wanted to do for himself. If you need to put it in simpler terms, I own a 767. He owns a modest house in the 973 and flies first class on special occasions.
So, we don't have a lot of time left, but I will say, Drake has so much, like, pettiness.
Yeah, he's a petty bitch.
He is a petty bitch that he won't put into, like, he will put more energy into his detractors than he will ever put to Pusha T. And that's the one thing about all of this that I love. Like, I love that, like, Drake, like, not love. I will say that, like, I find it fascinating that Drake will put all of this energy into the women that has scorned him or the women that he used to fantasize about and want to be with, but he can never be with a queen like Rihanna, and the critics and everything like that. But he would never dare come back to the man who literally forced him to be a good father enough to put his son into his music video. Like, there's a whole reality where we never find out that Drake has a child. But this man bullied him so hard that now Adonis is just in it. Did you see the music? Well, you're not engaged. He's in the music video.
That makes sense. Didn't he draw the cover art? That looks like a demon. It's very terrifying picture.
It makes me laugh inside. The idea that somebody could get into your soul so much that they could quintessentially change you, but you never. Drake needs therapy.
Of course
Drake needs therapy.
Yes. I mean, that was a given.
He needs therapy. He needs to go to therapy.
Regardless of.
But what are you going to do? What are you going to do? I think that's everything, right?
We'll be right back with our mental health section, the things that made us mad and what made us happy.
More of the Black and Snerdy podcast. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Black and Snerdy podcast.
We now return to the Black and Snerdy podcast.
Come stop your crying, it'll be alright. Just take my hand, hold it tight. I will protect you from all around you. I will be here, don't you cry. For one, for small, you seem so strong. My arms will hold you, keep you safe and warm. This bond between us can't be broken. I will be here, don't you cry. 'Cause you'll be in my heart. Yes, you'll be in my heart. From this day on, now and forevermore. Alright, that's enough. That's the Phil Collins from the Tarzan soundtrack.
Phil Collins be in my heart. Murdered
Phil
that fucking album.
Did you hear about the story about how Sting was originally creating music and helping to cultivate the story for The Emperor's New Groove?
Yes,
but
you
then
did
it
tell
got
me about that.
There's a whole back documentary.
I would
but
love
then, like,
to have
there
heard
was there was a whole bunch of friction, and then it got scrapped. They redid it, and now it's the underrated classic that it is.
I mean, it would have been even a more.
But like, imagine if that
Sting.
movie was a Sting movie.
That would have been perfect. Sting, figure out how you can redub the movie with your music. Because
not in this generation. Like,
no one think so?
No one gives a fuck about Sting in this generation.
You think so?
Yeah, and
the kids are always going back.
No, I'll get into that,
folks.
into the things that made me angry. But like, I will say this: like, we are long past the sort of like musician vehicle Disney movies.
Yeah.
And it's because the only person that Disney seems to have on retainer is Lin-Manuel Miranda. Like it
was different when we had a bunch of Peebo Bryson.
Yeah.
Like
remember Peebo Bryson?
Peebo Bryson carried Disney.
God damn.
Carried Disney.
Peebo Bryson. But okay.
Lin-Manuel, get Peebo Bryson on the
Shout
line.
out to Lin-Manuel Miranda, but at the same time, like...
all the songs just sound the same. You know it's his song. You know it's a Lin song.
That was a terrible rap that you made for The Little Mermaid, the Scuttlebutt. That Aquafina bullshit that she had to do. It was terrible. And that movie was not good. I know. Look,
Halle Bailey was great.
I know. She was good. I'm not calling her great. I refuse to call her great.
I think that she carried the movie.
No, she sang her ass off.
Which carried the movie.
As somebody who watched her act in Blackish and not Blackish, Grownish. Mm-hmm. No,
yeah, it was Grownish.
Yeah. As somebody who watched her act in Grownish and then act in a 2-hour movie for Disney, I think she did fine. She did a fine.
You're just a hater.
It's not a hate. No, it's not hating. She's not a fucking to carry a whole movie
compared to everybody else.
They're also not good. That's why I said she did fine. Everybody else was garbage. Javier Bardem in his little was slightly okay.
What about what's her name? Megan. What's her name? Ursula.
Actually, Megan did better than Halle. Yes, she did.
I mean, well,
she at least added spice into her fucking.
I mean, I think that I always love Megan, so whenever she's in a movie or something, I like it. But I didn't like the way that they went with the portrayal of Ursula.
That movie bothered me in so many ways.
Yeah,
and it was specifically the
crab.
We watched it together, and I held my commentary back when I was watching it, although I did chime in a few times.
Yeah, you did.
But the main thing, the thing that broke me in that movie was Under the Sea. Under the Sea broke me.
They made some changes that didn't make sense.
One, the fucking Sebastian the Crab and Flounder, they're not expressive. The whole point of an animated movie is to have expressive, inanimate objects or inanimate characters and shit. Fucking Flounder and Sebastian are just fucking blank ass realistic. Well, I mean, but
isn't that the point?
Terrible.
That they were supposed to live action.
No,
if it's a live action.
No, if it's first off, all right? Have you ever seen Dr. Dolittle?
Yeah.
No. Is it Dr. Dolittle? It's
Eddie Murphy?
No, not Eddie Murphy.
Dr. Zhivago?
No, not Dr. Zhivago. What? What? There's this animated, it's half live action, half animated, where fucking Don Knotts is a fish.
I know what you're talking about.
He's half fish.
Yeah.
He's animated for... they could have done half animated in that way, and then half... it didn't have to be realistic. But Under the Sea, the whole point of Under the Sea is, to be, Sebastian convincing the Little Mermaid, Ariel, that she should stay under the sea.
Yeah.
The whole point. That's the whole point. He's convincing her, hey, who needs the surface? You need to be under the sea. And they didn't have in the live action movie, they didn't have any fish or any undersea creature doing like the band and shit.
Yeah, they were mostly just using their bodies.
They were just dancing.
Yeah, they were just like
and then
swaying.
Second, and this is the most egregious one. This is the most egregious.
Mm-hmm.
Why is Ariel singing an accompaniment of
Do you think that was because
Under the Sea? I think in her contract she said I need to sing like 6 times.
They should have given her more. Like she,
which is
they could have
insane.
taken out the princess song.
I say that she should have been a different
song.
Disney princess. She shouldn't have been Ariel because literally, how are you gonna have a singer be a Disney princess who literally spends 70% of the movie silent?
You know what? That's not a bad point. That's not a bad point.
Literally, like after Under the Sea and she becomes a human, they have a whole song where it's just in her head, and I'm like, no, wait, no. Why are we hearing? Like, if the whole point is that she's silent, like her voice has been taken from her.
Yeah.
And so she has to use her ingenuity in order. That's also why I didn't like that fucking movie. Is because, like, in the original movie, her voice is taken from her. She remembers that she is supposed to kiss the dude in 3 days. Mm-hmm. So she uses her ingenuity to convince the guy to like her.
Yeah.
In the live action movie, they remove that part. They say, "Oh, and also you're gonna forget that you remember making this fucking deal," which is a whole.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. And so, what is her onus to like even get what? Like, I get that her onus would be, "Oh, I used to be a mermaid, now I'm on the sea." What is her onus with connecting with the dude that she saved?
I mean, I think
other than the fact that
she saved him.
He's intriguing because he's a human.
Yeah.
But what is there to get over that? Yeah. And what is his
they were relying very heavily on the fact that she saved him and that he's gonna remember she saved him. He at some point, and she knows that she loves him. It was love first sight, but it missed all those parts that we needed from the original.
No, it's
that would have solidified that to make it make sense.
Not good. Not good.
All right, so now that we've gotten through past that,
terrible. Don't watch The Little Mermaid. It's watch The Little Mermaid the original, or watch The Little Mermaid the series, because
even the series is better.
I'm gonna watch The Little Mermaid the series tonight. Because when I was growing up, so real quick, when I was growing up, and I would be picked up from my dad from Baltimore and taken to New York or South Carolina. Mm-hmm. This was during the Disney afternoon. Mm-hmm. I would watch the Disney Little Mermaid TV series and the Aladdin TV series. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm going to watch those tonight to see if those hold up. I guarantee you they don't. I guarantee you that the Timon and Pumbaa show, which also aired during this time, probably holds up more as a slapstick, like, oh, this is episodic thing, more than like watching the Little Mermaid get into her
hijinks. I mean, as long as you watch
Aladdin
it with the mindfulness of that it's not the movie.
It's cheap TV. It's
that's
cheap
how I think,
bullshit.
because whenever those shows came on, I used to be like, when they initially started, I would be frustrated because I was like, these aren't as good as the
they didn't have the original actors. They didn't have the original voice actors.
So it was frustrating.
The animation was terrible.
I was like, I have to you have to, like, thinking back of it now, you have to watch it for what it is and just say, you know what? Do I like it? Yes or no? Yeah. All right. So for our... Push the button.
You pushed the button.
I don't remember which one it is, so...
No, push it.
We now return to the Black and Snerdy podcast.
You can't even unpush the button.
Every week, we decide to check in with each other on our mental health, because we are mental health advocates, not experts, and we want to see, like, how you're doing. But first, we start off with a question. Have you ever become invested in the fate of a reality show character?
Absolutely not.
Really?
No.
Even on Love Is Blind?
No, not in Love Is Blind.
You don't feel invested in in Tiffany and
Maybe Marshall. Maybe.
Maybe.
But that was because he was done so dog dirty by big ear nigga. And,
did you hear that allegedly they broke up?
Probably. I wouldn't be surprised. But like, fucking, like, that's the closest I've ever been.
What about Tiffany and what's his name?
Who?
The black couple.
Tiffany and
what's his name? What's his first name? It's not Karamo. Damn it! Hold on, let me find it.
But like, okay, so like, there's, no, like, none of Love Is Blind. I've never
Tiffany and Brett.
Show me an image because like, who the fuck are they? Like, I thought Brett was white. Is Brett
no,
white?
that's not. That's Cameron.
Cameron and Lauren. I remember. Alicia and Jarrett.
Mm-hmm.
They got 2% of my investment, and then because he let her.
Them.
Did they break up? They seem fine.
They're still together.
Fine.
But that's like, you don't feel like you've been invested in their story?
No, I'm not invested. It's like, it's cool. They're a black couple on a reality show. That's nice. But like, that's fine. Like, it's literally like on Love Is Blind, I'm always rooting for the black couples to meet and get together. Yeah. And then I'm also looking for the interracial couples to break up. No, we went to a not a swap meet. We were at DeKalb Marketplace, and I kept running into millennial interracial couples. And it reminded me of my youth. But also, I just kept thinking, like, y'all aren't even for real. Like, this is not a real relationship. Like, and it's not even like my old 90s brain of thinking like, oh, the family will never accept him. Like, no, it's literally like, y'all will get like, this is a novelty. Interracial dating for millennials is a novelty.
Or you mean for millennials or Gen Z? Or what was it, Gen X? Who's under us? Gen Z, right?
Gen Z.
Do you think for them it's a novelty?
I think it's a novelty.
You do?
No, I think that I'm not saying that they can't like fall and finally be in love outside of their race or anything like that. But I think that the generation below us are so open to like dating everybody that like there's no clear discernment who they're gonna ultimately end up with. So when I see young 20-somethings in an interracial relationship, I'm like, it's not like.
I think, you know what I would say?
There's no combo. It's very unlikely.
There's no combo.
The combo of the exploration of different cultures and races and shit, and also the longevity of commitment.
Because I think about,
you know what I mean? Like, we were like, oh, we're gonna commit longevely to like the person that we met in college or high school or some bullshit.
But I think that like the difference between like say the interracial couples from the 70s to now is that like they had to have one conversation and be very clear, because they were like, oh, this is something that's like taboo. Because like loving V Virginia was only, what was that, 1951, I think. So it was still a very taboo thing. But I think that now people who are younger are not thinking about, oh, we have to have conversations, and not because your parents or family is going to say you shouldn't marry this person outside of your race, but just more so understanding that like you might be having cultural differences that you should talk about and be mindful of what both people are going through or whatever, so that you can learn and grow and not just think that we're in this like post-racial society just because.
We also watched Get Out yesterday, so like that's also coloring a little bit.
I don't know, it's not coloring. It's still
no, it is, because like you're not ending up with a white dude. You're definitely not ending up with a white dude.
Because you want to know why? It's like taking out white guys who come at you with some sort of weird fetish type of thing.
Sure.
Taking out them. Then you have to find the ones who are aware of like blackness and cultural differences and all that. But it's not just that. Then you have to find the ones whose families are also have gone through that process.
All white people. That's
I feel like
boy.
I'm a lazy dater in that way that I don't want to have to sift through that. Because the thing is with black men or brown men, like you might have to go through things of like talking about like things like colorism and internalized white supremacy or whatever. But there's a context of
those fun topics.
Yeah, right. But there's a context that we understand.
To our significant others' fucking parents about. Right?
But sometimes, like if you're a black person or a brown person, it's probably much more rare that you will have some sort of that the topic of race or like bias or whatever won't come up. Like if you're a white person, that probably is not something that is coming up on a regular basis for you and your family or any sort of cadence. Whereas I think if you're a non-white person, someone at any point might come up with a topic connected to like police or discrimination or whatever. And if you are not aware that that's something that can happen or might happen just because of people's different experiences, that can be something that's like, well, why do we always have to talk about race? Or why does it have to be about race? When in reality, when you are a racialized person, there are things that are going to come up that you don't have to explain. Or just other parts of your culture that you don't necessarily want to have to explain. And that, like, when you have to layer those things on top of each other, it's like, damn, you got to find a unicorn. Because you find one part and then the other. And it's like to me, I find that stressful.
Okay. So, ultimately, Odie doesn't want to find a blank slate of a white man who is willing to do literally all that work because they've spent their entire lifetime not doing any of that work.
Well,
my guess is that literally just a white man could come along and just do that thing that I just said. Anyhow,
all right, are you done?
What are you
with?
No, that's not the question. Did we answer?
Have you ever become interested in the fate of a reality show character? Yes, I have. I grew up watching Real World.
Who?
Well, I was just saying, like
character.
I have had multiple. Like I said, I grew up watching Real World, and I would say up until we got to college, Real World, the stories that they were showing were these very like real people who were having things going on with them, and that you were interested, and it was like you were digging into these people's lives every week. But once we got to college, it started getting very formulaic and weird, like them having, it was all, first of all pretty people, like mainstream pretty people. And then it was like the kind of mixture had always been like 2 black people, 2 queer people, 1 white person that's racist, 1 white person that's progressive, probably like maybe a black person or a brown person that's like super conservative or something like that. But like it was like a mixture of demographics. But then it started being that, but like all pretty people, which is just that doesn't make sense. You're not gonna have a bunch of like statistically hot folks made for TV that these is the real lives, and that just was weird for me because it just felt like it was taking away the authenticity. But I feel like when I initially like Love Is Blind, some of those characters I'll be like Tiffany and Brett, Lauren and Cameron, I'm interested in what's going on with them. Barnett and what's her name? Whatever his wife's name is, I forget her name. But sometimes I'll be like, damn, I'm invested. I want to know the story.
I'm never interested in any of these fucks.
How was your mental health?
Not great. So, I'm at my wit's end. Not my wit's end. I've been well past my wit's end. But like I think that I have something in my brain. I have a for lack of better words, a solution in my brain. And I'm waiting till things play out to see what will happen before I pull that trigger. And things are just dragging and taking so long, and I'll get into the thing that's bothering me. But boy, oh boy, like, the fact that I've even had to deal with this at this point, like, I already had a mindset, and then this thing came along, and now it's making it worse. You know what I mean? Somehow making it worse by dredging up levels of hope.
Yeah.
And it's bothersome, and it's annoying, and it's disgusting at this point. So, but, you know, doing my due diligence, reaching out to my support network and talking about it, doing that whole thing. Yes, doing all of that good shit. How about you? What's your therapist is on her moon, so
she's on vacation, and I'll see her actually this Thursday, which I'm glad about. I would say in general, my mental health has been okay this week. Last week I was doing a training at work, so I didn't have a lot of like day-to-day things to do, which was great. But I still had different work-related activities to do, which I feel like I got less rest, but in general, I feel like this has been an okay week. I've been trying to manage my intrusive thoughts and my general annoyances, and trying to just figure out the ways to be solution-oriented. And today, like I checked off one of the things off my to-do list, which was to talk to someone I work with about their roles, because it's been something I've been interested in learning more about, and the feedback I got from them was really good. So I'm just trying to be proactive in things and also being patient in things, because I know that if I have expectations about what's going to happen or when it's going to happen, it's just going to frustrate me more. And just trying to make sure that I'm just, doing what I set out to do every day, which is be a boss-ass bitch. And recognizing that sometimes I can be a boss-ass bitch at like 100%, and sometimes I can only be that at like 30%. But either way, I'm a boss-ass bitch. Bitch. All right, are you ready to move into the things that made us angry this week?
Yes, I am. Push the button.
I don't remember which button. Stop making me push it.
It's the same button.
I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Push a button.
I'm not pushing. I don't want to push a button. You
don't want to push a button?
No. You push the button. Because I don't know which one it is. And it's going to be me pressing a bunch of buttons. So you can push the button.
So you can't even guess what button I push.
I don't want to guess.
We're at 95 episodes.
I don't want to guess.
60 of these episodes have been on this board.
I do not want to guess.
It's terrible. Are you looking to see what button it is so that you can commit it to memory?
I'm not going to commit it to memory, but I see the button.
So you're actively saying that you will not commit.
I'm saying that I'm not going to remember. That doesn't matter how much I would love to remember. That doesn't mean I'm going to remember. Do you know how many things that are more important than the buttons on this board that I actually try to remember?
I'm well aware where your priorities lie, but like, this is not one of them. So I'm well aware that is your umbrella. What's pissing you off? I've already
100% currently.
Then speak on it.
Okay? Because you're being frustrating right now for no reason. And it's not my job.
Not no reason. There's
the
literally a direct reason.
You being annoyed at me for not remembering the buttons is one, silly, And two, a pointless thing, in my opinion, because who is the one who presses the buttons? You are the one who presses the buttons. I do my best to remember the things that I can remember because I can barely remember the things that I want to remember. You think that I'm going to remember constantly the buttons on here? Or the buttons do change. You change them. You can't act like sometimes they're always the same. I don't know what they are. Each time we switch to a different segment or we come back from a break, you change them. So no, I do not remember. If you would like me to remember, you know what you could do? You could get your label maker out. You could make a little label and put it right there so that I will see them. But there's no way that I'm going to remember where the things are all the time. I'm sorry. If you would like a podcast host who could do that, find someone with a really great memory who doesn't have other things to be in their head, that smaller things like this are going to filter out. Because why? That's not my job. So that's number one. Number two. Discriminatory practices at restaurants that I like. And I'm not saying racial discrimination. I'm talking about just general bad service. You can decide for yourself whether or not it is racist or whatever. I've gotten, mixed reviews from folks I've spoken to about this. But basically, I went to Grand Szechuan Eastern on 1049 2nd Ave in New York City. It also is called Hunan Szechuan. Sometimes on the menus, they have two different names. I don't know why. But either way, this was a place I used to love to go to when I worked in a media company that was down the street. And I went there for lunch after the Nigerian Independence Day parade because it had been rainy and cold the whole day. And I wanted to sit down, eat something, and be dry. I put myself down, I go to the bathroom, I come back, and she comes over to me. She's not having the best disposition. She's kind of one, how many? And I was just like, okay, just one person. And she just gives me this menu. I take it, I say thank you, and I can continue, I start looking for my stuff. Now I decided, you know what, maybe I'm going to do one of my mukbangs. I like doing mukbangs sometimes when I'm eating food, so I like to do it. I put it up sporadically, that's kind of that's the thing I do on YouTube when I have, the time and the space, and I don't have to be, stressing about it. So I'm sitting there, I'm ordering my food, I'm doing my mukbang, and I'm just enjoying my time because it was a place that I really loved when I used to work in that area, and I was excited to be able to eat there again because they have really good bok choy, and it's really difficult to find good bok choy. A lot of times it's not very well seasoned. So in the midst of my eating, these two people come in. They were white. That's important, yes or no. I don't know. You make a decision for yourself. Came in. They mentioned the lunch menu. So I was like, lunch menu? I never got a lunch menu or even was told there was a lunch menu. All I was given was this one menu that had all the food in it. So they sit down, I hear them order, and she's much nicer to them, asking them questions, explaining the menu, being much more hands-on than she was with me. I was like, okay, whatever, move on. But when I heard the lunch menu, now I'm like, that's weird because I wasn't told there was one. And even though this used to be a place I used to go to a lot of times when I was at work, it's been years ago. I haven't been there since 2017, and I had forgotten about the lunch menu. But until I heard it, and I was like, oh, yeah, I do remember that's what we used to always order from because it was a way to get, all this food for cheap when it's, at that point, I wasn't making that much money. So it was always, great to find good deals. So the food, I hear them order their food, and I go and I see that they had a different menu, and it was a paper menu. So I see that there's up there. I go grab it. I look on the back. I see it says lunch menu from 12 to 3:30. I had gotten there about 2. So I go and I ask the guy, and I say one of the items I've gotten was on the lunch menu, and I didn't get one of the lunch menu items. I didn't have the lunch menu stuff. And he's like, oh, there is no lunch menu today. And I was like, okay, but they ordered the lunch menu. He's like, no, there's no lunch menu. So then he goes off, and I was like, well, now I got to ask these people about the lunch menu. And I had to build up to asking them because I didn't want to be freaking awkward because people were just sitting there talking about their friends' PhD thing about non-consensual sex and all this stuff. It was like they're just having a Saturday, we're catching up, we're eating lunch kind of thing. So I built up the courage. I asked them, did you order from the lunch menu? The guy was like, no, we didn't. The girl looked at me in my eyes, shook her head, and said, yes, we did. And so then I, again, told the guy, I was sitting down eating my food. He comes up to me and he says, "Oh, well, you didn't get the stuff because you didn't order from the lunch menu." And I was like, "Well, I couldn't order from the lunch menu because how can I order from something that I was not given? And I am, as the client, I am not the one who's in charge of giving me the menu. I should be been told all the information ahead of time." So then he's like, I understand. And then I told him I wasn't going to pay for all of my different stuff separately, that if it was on the lunch menu, I was going to have it together. So then when he goes to change the bill, the woman who attended me first was like, they were arguing about what probably him changing it. And then she comes up to me to say again that there is no lunch special, even though now I have confirmation for both what I heard, what I saw, and what I asked to qualify with those people that they had the lunch menu. And I just looked on their Google reviews, and for the most part, they have really great reviews. Everyone says the food's really good. But there were at least 2 comments that were about poor customer service. One person named Kelvin G., who was there a year ago, said he had a racist exchange with the chef and host that was 100% unprovoked. And then another person said that the hostess was very mean. Another person said horrible service. So all I can say is I have no clue if this was racially motivated or if they were just being assholes. But I'm not going somewhere to pay and eat food where you have a terrible attitude and then you're going to try to gaslight me and lie to me. Like, you didn't give me the lunch special, that's on you. But if you have one and I find out there's one, then you have to change my bill. Don't keep trying to tell me that there's not a lunch special on the menu. It says a daily lunch special. There's no exceptions. And I just spoke to the other people who said they did have it. So don't be an asshole. This is your establishment. And if somebody makes a mistake or makes an exception and they get caught, that's their problem. Don't keep trying to freaking lie to your customers because you didn't get something right. That's it.
Got it?
Yeah.
Okay. So my thing, I'm just going to put it this way. Personal accountability and independence. I'm a mentally ill person. I have bipolar 2, I believe, the last time I was diagnosed. But what I do, what I recognize is that is my problem. That is, I make people aware of my problem. But by no means do I expect anybody to do anything for me. Because, like, unfortunately, societally, that's just not how the world works. World just doesn't work that way. Like, the world is not fucking able-bodied, excessive, or anything like that. Should it be? That's an argument that can be made. But, like, that's just not what I grew up in. I did not grow up in a world that looked at a person's mental illness and said, we're going to keep that into a factor. So I literally had to grow up with that in mind and be, like, self-sufficient and accountable for, like, what I'm doing and what's going on with me and my actions and my brain and everything like that. Like, and that's one component. The next component is just, in general, accountability in general. Like, I also grew up in the 90s, and I grew up in an era where no one was really accountable. No one was accountable. Everybody blamed fucking the man, society, racism, bullshit. Like there's any number of things that you could blame on any number of actions. And honestly, those arguments make sense. Like, I could completely understand why, whatever. But at a certain point in, like, the, let's say, late 2010s or whatever like that, there was a concerted effort to make individuals aware that, like, there should be a thing such as personal accountability and being accountable of your actions. That, like, you do a thing from A becomes B. Like, if you do a thing, something happens, and therefore you should be accountable of those things. What I can't stand is individuals who are not accountable for their actions, not accountable for their behaviors. There's excuses that are made. Like I said, I'm reasonable. I'm a reasonable individual that, like, you can give context for why things are the way they are. You can get context for why you move the way you move. You can get context for why you do the things that you do. But at a certain point, there does need to be personal accountability. And that's where I draw the line, because motherfuckers just, like, it bothers me when I literally had to learn how to be accountable for my own actions. Yes, my brain is fucked up. Yes, I have a mental disorder. Yes, I do these things. But the reason why is not the reason for. Like, just because this is why you do a thing does not excuse the reason for you doing that thing. Like, you're giving context for why that happened, but does not excuse why you did that thing. And that's something that I've literally had to spend a lot of time learning and understanding. I've had to learn and understand how to be accountable. Because I'm from Baltimore. I grew up as an ain't shit nigga. Like, for a long time, I was ain't shit. And for a long time, I could blame my reasonings on my growing up, my mental illness, my parents, my you know, fucking, like, the traumas that happened. Like, I could blame all these things, right? But at a certain point, I was forced to recognize and coincide and be put in my face that, like, yeah, those things give context to the reason why you are the way you are. You still did this thing. You still did this action. And I had to recognize the action that I did, and I had to own up to the action I did, and accept the action I did, and I had to be accountable. I don't think that we put enough emphasis on accountability in our world. We should, like, but instead we focus more on all of the outside forces, more of the internal stressors, more of the trauma. We just focus on all of the stuff that are the reason behind the action without giving a reason. God damn it! And you know what? I fucking hate this apartment. I fucking hate this apartment so fucking much. I hate my fucking apartment. I hate my fucking existence right now. Like, I hate that this motherfucker said, oh, we're gonna put $700 off of the rent, give you free month of rent, and then suckered me into this fucking stupid basement-ass apartment that has fucking all things awful, and that I have to fucking deal with, and it fucking sucks all over. But back to fucking accountability. There's not enough accountability, and it bothers me, and I'm the last accountable. Sometimes I just want to not be accountable. But the problem is, my brain works that, like, because I know a thing, if I'm not doing that thing, then it means that I'm actively not doing that thing. Like, I have no excuse. Because I know better, because I've been told and taught and worked on it, went to therapy, did the processes and everything like that. If I'm not doing that thing, then I'm actively not doing that thing. I don't have excuses. I don't have fucking gray areas or middle ground or wiggle room or anything like that. If I'm not actively trying to be better, then I'm literally not being better. And that's and that's the onus that I have. So, like I want to hold people to the same. I know that people are on different levels than I am. I'm not the most enlightened motherfucker in the world, but I'm trying and I'm working on it and stuff. You give grace to people. I give grace to people. But, like, you can only give so much grace to people, Like, I can't constantly give grace to every single person. You can only there's so much grace that I have. I have a finite amount of grace. And I'm not giving grace to everybody. Like, and I'm not giving finite amount of grace to fucking repeat behavior. So, it's bothersome. And then the last thing is fucking, I'm not going to say your name, but to that organization who has been dicking around with the fucking bureaucracy. There it is. Bureaucracy. I hate bureaucracy. I hate corporate bureaucracy. I have applied to a job back in June. They called me on an important day, on a nice day. That was a fun day during the summer to do a thing. I did the thing. They've been dicking me around. They've been asking for W-2s. They've been asking for background checks. They've been asking for everything like that. Give me an answer. Say no at this point. I just want an answer. I don't give a fuck. But it's annoying and it's upsetting. We can move on. I'm done. I'm done my thing.
All right. Well, you want to do the RIPs?
We have one.
Yeah, we have one. It's on the board.
Yes. Yes, we can do that. So, as always, every single week we do RIPs. And Odie is going to lead us into that. So, take it away, Odie.
Are you ready? Great, thank you. We have one RIP today, which is a big one. Tulsa race massacre survivor Hughes Van Ellis has died at 102 years old. He died this morning in Denver, Colorado. And he and his family, his sister, and another survivor have been petitioning to try to get Tulsa to be remembered. They've been trying to work towards reparations and just getting justice for the people of that area. And it's very unfortunate that he died without being able to see all of his wishes to be seen. But we are so grateful for him. He was a World War II veteran and spent the rest of his life really working towards just justice for those who deserved it. So we are sending him and his family love and peace during this time, because death is never even an easy thing. Even though at 102 years, I mean, the things that man has seen. So thank you, and we honor your legacy. Okay, you ready to do the things that made us happy?
Sure. I'm not gonna ask you to push the button. I'll push the button.
I'm the baby merchant. Tots are us. I give you all the service and no damn fuss. Give the baby merchant just a week or two. I'll have your baby for you.
So what's making you happy this week?
Well, a few things in news that have been really dope that happened. So Governor Gavin Newsom announced that Laphonsia Butler, the president of the nation's largest organization dedicated to electing women, Emily's List, will complete the United States Senate term of the late Senator Dianne Feinstein, which runs until 2024. So we are congratulating her. It's crazy that we're still getting all these firsts that are happening, but hopefully this means that she can use her time in the office to elicit some kind of change and get reelected to go forward. But congratulations to her. Also, Simone Biles won the women's all-around final and has secured the 21st World Championship gold record. And she's only 26, and she has just done so many amazing things. She did at one of the, I don't know if it was the finals, but she did I think it's called the Velichenko. It's this like really hard, illegal move. But she did it wonderfully, and she's just been crushing it. So congratulations to her. It's called the Yurchenko double pike vault, which is a high difficulty skill historically only done by men. And she's the first woman to land it at an international competition. So congratulations to her. And then my favorite thing was getting to see my baby Kada, my mini bestie. I got to see him, my sister, and they're all my sisters, and my brother, and my cousin. We went to brunch to celebrate their birthdays because all of them are born, between the end of September to the middle of October. So very excited to have us all together. It's rare that we get to do that. But we had a great time. It was very sweet, and Kada was just such a fun and happy baby. He got to hang out and play, and I just was over the moon. And of course, doing this podcast with you.
All right. So for me, doing this podcast with you, also meeting, I think for the first time,
Kada?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Meeting baby Kada for the first time was fun. He's a ball. He's a little man. Like he has hair on his head. He's drooling everywhere. We really do go out the way that we come in. The only difference is the amount of wrinkles and patch marks that we have. It's just when we're born and when we're ending, we're in a diaper, we're drooling, and we're making noises that nobody can really understand. Sometimes it's just, meh, 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 and sometimes it's just like, Nixon. It's, it really does depend. I also got a chance to connect with a friend that I hadn't heard from in a while. Shout out to them, and shout out to divorce. Not necessarily the concept of divorce, but shout out to the idea that, if you recognize that, you're not happy in a marriage, you just fucking work that shit out and then move on. It makes sense. To me, at least. Shout out to that. Do your thing. And then also, shout out to my New Jersey friend. You are from you're not from New Jersey, but you live in New Jersey. So you're from New Jersey at this point. You're living in New Jersey. You bought a home in New Jersey. You could have bought a home in bumblefuck New York, but you didn't. You bought a home in New Jersey, so you're my New Jersey friend now. I don't care if you are originally from Canarsie. You are from Jersey now. That's just what it is. That's just the reality. Hun, that's just what it is, sis. And that's just what it is. But shout out to you, one, for having a lovely home. And two, for... You heard that too, right? Yeah. I don't know what that was. I forget what the two was because I heard a snap and now I don't know where I was. Either way, shout out to you. I had one more thing that made me happy, but I don't remember what it was. So we could just wrap this up. All right. Thank you all for listening to another episode of the Black and Snerdy podcast. As always, you do this on a weekly basis. Check out our Instagram page. We will update the page when we're going to go live. Check us out and take it easy. This has been, I wanted to say DJ Kid Licorish. I am not a DJ. This is just Kid Licorish. And this is Odie. And we will be seeing you next week. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the show. If you'd like to contact the podcast, you can reach us via email at blackandsnerdypodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram and TikTok at Black and Snerdy Podcast, as well as on Twitter at Black and Snerdy. You can find me, Maurice, on all social media under the handle Licorish is Legit. That's LICORISH is legit.
And you can find me on
I see
Instagram. It's that's ODTHATSOD.E. And on Twitter, THATSOD_E. And don't forget to like, rate, and subscribe to us. Tune in next time to the Black and Snerdy podcast, where nerds of a feather flock together.
Remember?
Bye.
Boy.
Not yet.
No, this is keeping it. We're keeping this in. Don't forget to take your meds and your subs and drink water. Bye.
Bye.
I actually want to keep that.